Hey guys, it's Emily. So today in this video, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be making a video about the myths about eating disorders, and I thought this video is really appropriate as this week is Eating Disorder Awareness Week, and yeah, I just want to educate people a bit more and bring about awareness about eating disorders because people that know very little about them. So yeah, let's just get into the video. Myth number one is that they are not a choice. I think the problem is that people kind of separate any kind of mental illness and they don't see it the same as physical illnesses, but people really should, because you would never go up to someone and say if they have cancer or heart disease or diabetes, oh it's a choice, you know. And it's really infuriating when people turn around and say, oh sure, you can just eat, or well, don't eat this much, like if you have binge eating disorder, if you know, like depending on what eating disorder you have, it can manifest itself in different ways, but it's a problem because it's definitely not a choice. You don't wake up one day and say I'm going to have this problem, and it's really, really annoying. Any mental illness is not a choice, like any illness in general is not a choice, and people just really need to realise that. Two is that they are for attention, and this really gets on my nerves because like, why would you put yourself through that much torture and the amount of like just how bad they are? Like, you would not put yourself through all of that just for attention. Like, there's much easier ways to get attention, so that is the last thing that they're about. You'd go around saying I have this, I have that, blah blah blah, but even when I was diagnosed, I didn't know. I was like, no, I don't have an eating disorder. Like, the last thing they are is for attention. Number three is that you might think this sounds stupid when I say it at first, but if you listen to what I say, then you'll understand. They're about food. Eating disorders, even though they're called eating disorders, the actual problem isn't the food. Like, if you think about it this way, the food problem is a mask, and it's what behind the mask is the actual problem. So like, yeah, you could have an eating disorder, which is the mask, but your actual problem is like the reason behind why you turn towards food to help you cope with the problem. That's one thing that's very important in treatment, is that psychologists and people don't focus on the food part because, well, they do if it's life-threatening, but you have to address the real problem first before you can fix anything else. And another thing, people always think, oh, if you don't eat, it's like, oh, they just don't like food, or like, no, like that's not it at all. People with eating disorders like food just as much as everybody. It's got nothing to do with that. Number four is that it's kind of a common one that people think about, is that you have to be a certain size. Eating disorders come in all shapes and sizes. I was overweight and had an eating disorder. I was a normal weight and had an eating disorder. I was underweight and had an eating disorder. Like, yes, in like the DSM, which is like the diagnostic, like all the criteria for like psychologists to like diagnose somebody, anorexia does come under a certain BMI, but I don't agree with that. I think that it's a frame of mind, not like, it's not a term that should be used for somebody's body weight. And like, to have binge eating disorder, you don't have to be overweight, you don't have to be normal weight, you can be underweight and have binge eating disorder, you can be any weight and have any eating disorder. And that is so critical, because if somebody feels guilty, like if they have anorexia and they're not specifically underweight, there's a pressure. And that's why a lot of people don't seek treatment straight away, because they're afraid, well, I don't look that small, like I can't be anorexic, or, you know, like I don't even look like I have an eating disorder, you know, stuff like that. And it can really hold people back from getting help. And so if we get rid of the myths like that, then it can really help people. Number five, and it's the myth that once you are a normal weight, if you were underweight or overweight, once your weight is at what it should be, that you're better. This is totally not the case, because when I was underweight and then I gained weight again, like to the way I was meant to be, like I was just as bad in my head, like it's a mental illness, not a physical illness. I was just as bad, but my psychologist thought I was better, you know, people think you're better, family, friends think you're better, and it's important to remember that just because your weight is better does not mean that you are mentally. Those are the myths that I came up with and narrowed down. I think they're really important, and I hope you learned something from this video. And if you have any other myths that you think are relevant or anything else you want to know about eating disorders, then let me know in the comments below and I will film those for you. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.